Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about some of the players that you guys need to watch out for in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 5 matchup versus the New Orleans Saints. We're going to waste no time here talking about first the offensive players that you guys need to keep an eye on. First player that I want to highlight is wide receiver Chris Godwin, who so far up to this point this year has been absolutely phenomenal as a second wide receiver to Mike Evans. And we know Mike Evans, he's one of the top 5 wide receivers in this league easily. He's an absolute beast. He's just a phenomenal player, okay? But so far this year, Chris Godwin has actually been putting up better stats than Mike Evans. I don't think that is going to stay under any circumstances. I do think that Mike Evans is the better receiver at the end of the day, but Chris Godwin, I've said it before, a lot of Bucs fans have said it before, he can be a number 1 wide receiver on a lot of teams. A lot of teams, and he's been showing it so far as the number 2 option for Tampa Bay's passing game so far up to this point. He's been putting up number 1 wide receiver numbers. So I think that this matchup of Chris Godwin versus Eli Apple in the New Orleans Saints game is going to be one that you need to pay attention to. It's going to be very important moving forward. I expect Chris Godwin to have a very productive day, a very efficient game, as he's been doing so far this season. So look for him to continue the momentum that he's built for himself so far up to this point this year. Next player I want to talk about, O.J. Howard. This is just another thing of continue to build the momentum that you've given yourself so far. It's not a lot of momentum. O.J. Howard, he's still getting things going. He's still rolling in terms of, building momentum for himself, but there is something there to work off of. Last game versus the Los Angeles Rams, he made a couple of nice catches, and it really looks like he got a lot of the, confidence issues or whatever you want to call whatever he was going through the first 3 weeks of the year. It seemed like this game last week versus the Los Angeles Rams, a lot of that was gone. He was blocking better. He was receiving the ball better. He looked like the O.J. Howard that we all know and love. So expect him, to be used more in this game. Bruce Arians even said, the targets will come for a guy like O.J. Howard. He's going to have a tough test against him. He's going to be going up probably against both linebacker Demario Davis and safeties Von Bell and Marcus Williams in this game. That's not an easy matchup under any circumstances, but we all know the player that O.J. Howard is, the ability that he has, his athleticism, his catching ability, his run blocking ability, his pass blocking ability. Everything O.J. Howard can do is good. So hopefully he continues to improve in this game, continues to get back on track, and have that breakout year that we all know he should be having right now. Next 2 players I want to talk about, running back Ronald Jones, running back Peyton Barber. Again, this New Orleans Saints defensive line is one of the toughest defensive lines, if not the toughest defensive line that the Buccaneers have faced so far up to this point. The Saints have some really good run-stopping defensive tackles in Sheldon Rankins and Malcolm Brown. They also have David Onyemata as well. Do not sleep on him. He's a very good depth defensive tackle. You also got to deal with Cameron Jordan. We will talk about that in a second. But Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber, they have been playing absolutely great so far up to this point. More so Ronald Jones than Peyton Barber up to this point. So definitely pay attention to how the carries are doled out in this game. Ronald Jones has been getting more carries so far than Peyton Barber, but I think that both of them have looked really good in terms of fighting for every single yard, really just fighting through contact and really working and scrapping for every single yard that they are gaining. So look out for how many carries each running back gets, and also look for this tough matchup that they have against the New Orleans Saints defensive line. Finally, the last position that I want to talk about is the right tackle position, and this is probably going to be one of the most important positions to keep an eye on in this game. Tamar Dodson, he's listed as questionable right now. It's probably going to be a game-time decision as to whether or not he plays or not, but if he cannot go, Gerald Hawkins should start in his place. That still might be up in the air. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with that, but regardless of if it's Tamar Dodson or if it's Gerald Hawkins, whoever it is, they're going to be going against Cameron Jordan, in my opinion, the best player on this New Orleans Saints defense. He's an absolutely phenomenal pass rusher. So whoever is going to be at that right tackle position is going to have their work cut out for them 100%. So let's start talking about Tamar Dodson first real quick. Is the guy has struggled this year, and I've kept on saying, keep an eye on Tamar Dodson. Tamar Dodson has to improve. I've been saying that week in and week out. Again, I like Tamar Dodson. I'm still pulling for Tamar Dodson, and it would suck if he couldn't play in this game because I think that he can be a good offensive lineman, but he's getting up there in age. He's been getting some penalties this year, some holding penalties, some false starts, whatever it is. He's been struggling not just with the discipline and the penalty aspect of it, but also just general blocking as well. So I really am hoping he can get back on track this year and, finally get the ball rolling and start showing the talent that we all know he has. But if he can't go, Gerald Hawkins, the Buccaneers did acquire him from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am very interested to see what he brings to the table. We have not seen him play in a Buccaneers uniform yet up to this point, at least as far as I believe. He might have played against the Los Angeles Rams. I can't remember. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section below, as always. But in my opinion, I have not seen Gerald Hawkins play yet in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey. We don't know how he's going to do. He's a big question mark right now. So if he's going up against Cameron Jordan, that's going to suck. And if Tamar Dodson is going up against Cameron Jordan, that's going to suck as well. But I would trust Tamar Dodson a little bit more, just considering that we haven't seen Gerald Hawkins play in a Bucs uniform yet, because the Buccaneers traded for him so late in the preseason, almost even into the regular season. So keep an eye on the right tackle position, who's starting, who's going up against Cameron Jordan. That's going to be an important matchup because Cameron Jordan, he's a phenomenal pass rusher. He's going to get some pressures, so keep an eye on that. Let's shift to the defensive side of the ball. First player that I want to talk about, Vernon Hargreaves III. He is going to have a tough matchup, and I don't know if he's going to shadow Michael Thomas. He's probably not. I'm just going to, lump in a lot of the secondary here because going up against Michael Thomas is no easy feat, but I would like to think that Vernon Hargreaves III is going to be one of the main guys who's going up against Michael Thomas. Now, I'll tell you right now, Michael Thomas, absolutely phenomenal wide receiver. He reminds me a lot of Mike Evans. The guy is just so good at so many things. One of the best wide receivers in this league, and Vernon Hargreaves is going to have his hands full if he is matching up against Michael Thomas a lot. I could see a more physical cornerback like Carlton Davis going up against a guy like Michael Thomas, just because it's a big physical guy versus a big physical guy in terms of Michael Thomas versus Carlton Davis. That could be what they end up going with. I do like Vernon Hargreaves. I think that he can be a good cornerback, but this isn't an easy matchup for any cornerback in the NFL, so definitely keep an eye on Vernon Hargreaves, how he does against Michael Thomas, and just keep an eye on the secondary as a whole, because this is going to be a tough matchup. You got guys like Michael Thomas, like I said, Traquan Smith, who is a young up-and-coming receiver. He has a lot to add in the receiving game, and then Ted Ginn. For some reason, Ted Ginn always pulls out something big against us whenever we play him. It just seems to happen, so keep an eye on the secondary here versus these New Orleans Saints wide receivers, especially Vernon Hargreaves III. I next want to talk about linebacker Devin White. This is huge. He's coming back. That's awesome. It seems like he's going to be playing in this game, and man, he has one heck of a test for himself. He's going to be going up against, a couple of really, really good weapons. First guy, Jared Cook. The Buccaneers have struggled covering tight ends this year, and it hasn't been fun, especially, we faced some good tight ends so far this year. We faced George Kittle, we faced Greg Olsen, we faced Evan Ingram, and then we faced Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett being the least impressive one out of those four. But now you're facing Jared Cook, who is a really, really underrated tight end in my opinion. I think that he can do some very good things. Devin White, I expect him to really contribute in terms of stopping a guy like Jared Cook. I think the Buccaneers have missed him these past couple of games. I think that Devin White has a lot of that speed to cover tight ends, and I think that him versus Jared Cook is going to be a really, really important matchup. And I also think that Devin White's going to be used a lot in blitzing, run defense, just everything we expected Devin White to be used in, I expect him to be used in. So keep an eye on Devin White. He is making his return. This is a big deal. This is really cool. So keep an eye on how the rookie does. I next want to talk about the Buccaneers' run defense. Again, this is the fourth game in a row where, in my opinion, the Buccaneers are facing a top 5 running back in this league. You have Christian McCaffrey, you have Saquon Barkley, you have Todd Gurley, and now you have Alvin Kamara, who could potentially be one of the most dangerous guys out of that group of 4. He is so elusive, he's so slippery, he can make people miss, and he is so dangerous in open space, so you've got to contain him. So far up to this point, the Buccaneers' run defense, they are ranked number 1 in the league. That's amazing. Let's keep it going, because so far all 3 of those running backs that I mentioned, McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley, they were contained to less than 70 yards rushing. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome, and I really think that they have a good chance of containing Alvin Kamara. Bruce Arians has said that his first priority on defense is to stop the run. Let's hope it continues here. Alvin Kamara, he's such an impressive weapon. He can receive the ball, he can run the ball, he can do a lot of good things. So this is going to be a big test for the Buccaneers run defense. It has been the last month or so, and they've stepped up to the plate every single time. This is just another step in the challenge here. I think they'll do some pretty darn good things, so let's just keep an eye on it. Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, William Golston, the boys. You know, it's a lot of beef on that Buccaneers defensive line, so look for them versus Alvin Kamara. Finally, the last defensive guy I want to talk about, Shaq Barrett. Is he going to get to 10 sacks? In my opinion, yes, I think he will. I think he's going to get 10 sacks in 5 games. That'll be absolutely amazing. I think that he is going to get that. That'll be awesome. He's pretty much on a historic NFL pace right now in terms of getting sacks in a certain amount of games and stuff like that. He's been absolutely amazing. Shaq Barrett, he's going to be going up against Teron Armstead of the New Orleans Saints. A really darn good left tackle. He also went up against Andrew Whitworth last week, and he did a really good job against him. I think that Teron Armstead, Andrew Whitworth, they're both very similar in terms of how high they rank in terms of left tackles. I think they're two of the best left tackles in the league, and Shaq Barrett got some pressure in that game against Los Angeles. Can he do the same against the New Orleans Saints? He's absolutely on fire up to this point. I believe in Shaq Barrett. I think that he will be getting a lot of pressure. I think he will get to 10 sacks in this game, could possibly even get to 11 or even more depending on how things go. But, you know, just always keep an eye on Shaq Barrett. He's the best player on this defense to watch right now. He's just absolutely phenomenal. Him and Vita Vea and Levante David have just been putting absolute work. So, you know, keep an eye on Shaq Barrett. You know, he's probably going to get to 10 sacks in this game, and we love to see it. I've got the Shaq Barrett shirt. You know, I encourage all of you to get some Shaq Barrett merch because I think he's going to sign a long-term deal with the team. Hands down, 100%. And let's just continue to see Shaq Barrett be great and, you know, continue to do amazing things for this team. Guys, that's it for this video. Last player I want to mention, Matt Gay. Keep on making your kicks, man. I'm gonna put you on this list every week, man, because I love you. I want you to do good, man. We have similar hairstyles, and I appreciate that. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. What are some of the players that you guys are going to be keeping an eye on in this game versus the New Orleans Saints? Please let me know down in the comment section below. But guys, until the next video or the next live stream, I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.